Hey everyone, and welcome back for another deep dive. Have you guys noticed more and more restaurants are going with those digital menus lately? It's pretty cool and all, but it's not just about looking slick. It's actually changing up how we order. You know what I'm talking about, all those little icons for dietary stuff and allergies.
Yeah, it's definitely a trend.
Like the little V for vegetarian or GF for gluten-free. Those are pretty standard. But then you've got all these new ones popping up. Keto, paleo. It's like they're speaking a different language.
So whether you're the one with the dietary needs or just curious about what it all means, today we are diving deep into these badges.
Yeah.
What do they really mean? And how do they change things for both the restaurant and, well, the diner? I think the really interesting thing is that these badges show how much more aware people are these days about what they eat. It's not just a small group anymore. It's like everyone's thinking about it.
You're right. It's definitely mainstream now.
Yeah.
And to help us decode it all, we've been checking out a blog post from Menuvial. They're all about digital menus. They make a really good point, those little badges. They're more than just a fad. They're actually changing how we eat.
Yeah, they talk a lot about how restaurants are always looking to build trust with their customers, right? And Menuvial says these badges, if you do them right, they can really help with that.
Yeah, it's like a quick way to say, hey, we get you. We're listening. But okay, let's break down some of these badges. We've got the classics, vegetarian, vegan, gluten-free. But then we enter the world of keto, paleo, dairy-free. It's a lot to keep track of.
Exactly. And it's super important that they're clear, you know? Menuvial actually suggests that restaurants should have a little key or legend, like a cheat sheet, so you know what each badge actually means. Because even something like dairy-free could mean different things to different people. Like, does that mean no milk or no cheese or yogurt either?
Yeah, like are we talking lactose-free or completely dairy-free? Totally different experiences.
Exactly. And then, of course, we have our friend the allergen alert. That's a whole other ballgame. We're not just talking about what people like or don't like anymore. It's about safety.
Oh, tell me about it. I once had a little situation with a dish that wasn't labeled properly. Let's just say I now carry an EpiPen everywhere I go. Made me realize how important those little warnings can be.
Oh, for sure. And, you know, for restaurants, there's a legal side to all of this, too. If they don't tell you about allergens and something happens, there can be serious consequences. So a lot of places now, they'll put disclaimers on there like those may contain statements because cross-contamination can happen, even if they're trying to be careful.
Yeah, you got to manage the risk, both for the diner and the restaurant. So these tiny little symbols are packing a lot of information. Before we get into why they're becoming so popular, I'm curious, what about you guys listening? What are some of the badges that you find super helpful or maybe even confusing? What do they mean to you? You know what I love about these badges? They make you feel like seen, you know? It's like the restaurant is actually paying attention to what you need. There's this great Thai place I go to, and they mark all their nut-free dishes right on the menu. It's a lifesaver for someone like me with a nut allergy.
Right. You don't have to, interrogate the server every time.
Exactly. I can just relax and enjoy myself.
And that trust is huge. It's like they're saying, hey, we've got you covered, and that can make all the difference when you're choosing a place to eat.
Totally. And speaking of choosing, have you noticed how much faster it is to order when those badges are there? I mean, remember when you actually had to wave down the server and ask a million questions?
Oh, yeah, and then try to understand their answer while everyone else is getting impatient?
The worst. Digital menus with the dietary badges just cut through all that. It's amazing.
Streamlined. It's better for everyone, the diners and the restaurant. And the Menuvial blog post, they mentioned something about this that I thought was really smart, the marketing side of it.
Oh, yeah.
It's like they can actually attract certain customers just by making a big deal about some of these badges. They have a bunch of vegan and vegetarian dishes. Perfect. Now you're speaking directly to that crowd. Emphasize the gluten-free stuff. You're going to pull in all the gluten-sensitive folks.
So it's like a win-win. People feel like you're taking care of them. Restaurants bring in more business, and it's a smoother experience all around.
Exactly. You got to adapt, right? Speaking of which, that's where a company like Menuvial comes in.
Right. They're not just talking about it. They're actually out there making it happen.
Yeah.
So for everyone listening, let's take a peek behind the curtain and see what they're doing to change the game. So we've been talking about how restaurants are adapting to this whole new world of, people being really aware of what they eat. And Menuvial, they seem to be right there in the middle of it all.
Yeah, they're really leading the charge.
What exactly are they offering, though? How are they helping restaurants get on board with this?
Well, they provide all the tools and the tech to create digital menus. Not just a boring old list of dishes, but something way more interactive. They have these pre-made templates with the dietary badges already built in, so restaurants can easily implement them.
Oh, that's smart, so they don't have to start from scratch.
Exactly. But here's the cool part. They don't just stop there. They don't just say, here's the tech, good luck. They actually help restaurants understand how to use it all strategically.
Oh, wow. So it's like having a consultant. Kind of.
Totally. Their blog post talks about all sorts of things, like how to train staff to make sure the info is accurate, how to design the menu so they're easy to read and look good, that kind of stuff.
So they're really thinking about the whole picture. I like that. But it makes me think, that's great for bigger restaurants that can afford those kinds of services. But what about the smaller places? Could this end up leaving them behind?
That's a really good point, and they actually address it in the blog post.
Oh, they do.
Yeah, they know that cost can be a big obstacle for some restaurants. So they suggest that smaller restaurants can still get involved, even if it's just by starting with those standardized symbols and having a really clear legend on the menu. It might not be as fancy or high-tech as what the big guys are doing, but it's a good first step.
It's about making sure everyone has the tools they need, right? No matter their budget or how tech-savvy they are. That's important. And it all comes back to something we keep touching on, these badges. It's not just about simplifying things for us diners. It's about making restaurants more inclusive and welcoming for everyone.
Absolutely. It's about recognizing that we all deserve to enjoy a meal without feeling anxious or confused or like we're being difficult.
Exactly.
And when restaurants start thinking that way, it can really change things for the better.
I love that. It just goes to show even small changes, like adding a few little symbols to a menu, can actually make a huge difference. Well, that's about all the time we have for today's deep dive. But before we go, here's something to think about. Could these little badges be doing more than just making our lives easier? Could they actually be changing how we view food and the choices we make? Are we moving towards a world where different diets and preferences aren't just accepted, but actually celebrated? Let us know what you think. This has been super interesting to unpack.
Yeah, it has.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive, everyone. We'll catch you next time.